Good evening. I'm Dr. John Ryder, and it's my honor to serve as the Interim Dean of the University of New England College of Dental Medicine. I'd like to welcome you all to the third White Coat ceremony in honor of the class of 2019. For those that cannot be here tonight, this ceremony is being streamed around the world and recorded so that it may be seen later on the website. I'd like to welcome all the guests here tonight, including some special friends of the college and dignitaries from the university, members of the local dental community sitting in the front rows. I'd like to especially thank all the parents, grandparents, children, extended family, and friends of the students, not only for being here tonight, but also for all of your support. I'd like to thank the heart and soul of our college, the talented and dedicated faculty and staff that come to us from around the world and who provide the knowledge, skill, and wisdom and opportunity for students to learn and become healthcare professionals. And thank you to the students for choosing UNE for your dental education. While this is not the first class entering the college, there are many firsts in this class. For example, this was the most competitive of the three classes so far, with over 22 other candidates competing to occupy each one of your seats. It's the first class to have a majority of female students. You usually get an applause for that, but that's okay. It's the most diverse of our classes. This class has the highest average entering GPA, and there are 10 students that already have their master's degrees. In addition, we are proud to say it's the first class to have the highest number of UNE alumni to matriculate into the dental program. It's students like these that, and those that follow, that will help establish the University of New England College of Dental Medicine as one of the most respected in the country and around the world. I'd also like to recognize at this time the newly elected class officers. And as I read your name, if you could stand, please. So as President, Nader Burpee. Vice President, Carolyn Moore. Secretary, Caitlin Hall. Treasurer, Amber Lease Myers. Please join me in applause and appreciation for the entire class of 2019. It's very The White Coat ceremony symbolizes the initial entry of each member of the class of 2019 into our profession. The White Coat ceremony in dentistry is a relatively new tradition, which started only about 20 years ago. Dental students had traditionally been welcomed into the profession at graduation from the program, but today's ceremony changes this concept by welcoming you at the beginning of your dental education and recognizes you as being part of the dental profession as you begin your training. This year we've added the official emblem of dentistry to our white coats. Here, sorry. I've always had problems with left and right. The emblem was adopted by the American Dental Association in 1965. The intertwined triangle and circle are the Greek letters of delta, which represent the letter D in the word dentistry, and the Greek letter omicron, which represents odont, meaning tooth. The central figure is a serpent wrapped around a cautery and 32 leaves with 20 berries, representing the 32 permanent teeth and the 20 deciduous or baby teeth. The background color of lilac was chosen as the color of dentistry in 1897 by the National Association of Dental Faculties, and also trims the graduation hoods, caps, and gowns. You also notice that the faculty are wearing slightly longer white coats compared to the shorter coats of students, as we found that patients sometimes were confused who was faculty and who were students. So there's a lot of, it's like the Da Vinci Code with all these symbolism, trying to figure all this out. The white coat ceremony marks the beginning of a lifelong professional and educational journey. It is a traditional symbol of compassion and professional training, clinical excellence, and serves to remind us of the privileges and duties we have as dentists and the responsibilities we have to service in the public. The mission of the College of Dental Medicine is to improve the health of Northern New England and shape the future of dentistry through excellence in education, discovery, and service. This statement frames our culture. We have a purpose, and not only to educate, train you to be excellent doctors and leaders, but also to be socially responsible partners in providing patient-centered care and recognizing that a team of providers delivers the best oral health care. We believe that the College of Dental Medicine fosters true partnership between students, faculty, and patients, and in order to effectively provide compassionate and comprehensive care. So, class of 2019, today we invite you to be partners with us in our mission and colleagues in our profession. The future is bright, possibilities are endless, so welcome to dentistry. Thank you. Our guest speaker this evening certainly has been a very important player in the development of our college and in our profession. Before I came to UNE, I actually cyberstalked this gentleman in a professional way. As I knew about him and his career and his reputation in dental education, and I was also looking for a role model that I could be when I grew up. I'm now proud to call him a friend. And there are many ways to measure friendship, but one example that I might say is that he recently sold me his house, and then he continued to rent it from me and pay the mortgage, which that's a pretty friendly thing to do, I think. So Dr. James Coble was born most likely on a warm, sunny day in Chicago. Received his DDS from the University of Illinois and College of Dentistry, received his Master's of Science from Loyola University Graduate School, and earned a Master's of in Jurisprudence and Health Law from Loyola as well. Dr. Coble has held various positions in dental education at 6 universities. His administrative positions have included Director of General Practice Residency Program, Chairman of the Department of Operative Dentistry, Assistant Dean for Admissions and Student Affairs, Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, and Associate Dean for Clinical Affairs. Dr. Coble served on the staff of the American Dental Association as an Associate Executive Director in Education and Group Associate Executive Director of Professional Services with responsibility for the divisions of Education, Science, and Dental Practice. Dr. Coble has more than 15 years of experience as a dental dean, having served as Dean of West Virginia University School of Dentistry, founding Dean of Western University Health Science College of Dental Medicine in Pomona, California, and also, of course, the founding Dean of the University of New England College of Dental Medicine. In September 2013, Dr. Coble was appointed Provost and Senior Vice President of the university after serving as interim Provost. Dr. Coble has served in numerous roles in organized dentistry, including 8 years as a consultant to the Commission on Dental Accreditation, chairing comprehensive dental school accreditation site visits throughout the country. He served as vice chair and chaired the CODA task force charged with reviewing and implementing recommendations made by the American Dental Association, House of Delegates. I'm running out of breath. He was appointed a founding member of the American Dental Education Association, American Association of Dental Research, National Oral Health Advocacy Committee. Dr. Coble also served as a chair of the DIA task force to develop guiding principles for the education of new oral health professionals. In your program, it says he lives in Cape Elizabeth, but he no longer lives in Cape Elizabeth, and I believe he might be homeless at the moment. I'm not sure. As I occupy his old office and his old house, I benefit from all that good karma and wisdom that permeates the walls, although we did have them painted. So please join me in welcoming our founding dean, our provost, and senior vice president, my mentor and former tenant, Dr. James Coble. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Obviously, we didn't charge you enough for the house. And I do miss not being able to call you now, John, when the faucet's leaking and have you come and fix it. Good evening. I'm back here busily crossing out parts of my talk that Dr. Ryder has already given, and probably given in a much better way than I would. You know, if you want to summarize my 42-year career in dentistry and higher education, I would say I was in the right place at the right time and always surrounded by highly competent people who made me look good. And if you can do that in your life, you can stand up here and pretend that you've accomplished all those things. But you've done it with a lot of help. At the University of New England, we have an annual lecture that's sponsored by George and Barbara Bush. We had this last week, and George, 41, and Barbara were there. And it reminded me of a story that I've heard before about the younger George, George 43. And he used to go out and tell people that as he left Texas to go out speaking or on the election trail, his wife would say, "Honey, don't try to be charming. Don't try to be witty. Don't try to be eloquent. Just be yourself." So tonight, I will not try to be charming, witty, or eloquent. I will just be myself. I'm told, now I took some things out of the talk. John has thanked you all, but there is a group that I'm supposed to recognize tonight, and that is the Association of Moose Hunters in the state of Maine. Apparently, this is a big time for them, and I just want to do a shout out to the moose hunters. But you know, we are here for the students. This is all about the students. And I think it's safe to say that UNE is not only called student-centered, we live that principle every day. And our president reminds us that the resources that we have to do all of the things we do come in large part from student tuition dollars. So we're very careful about how we spend those resources, and we always look toward doing things that will bring value to the education here at UNE, and certainly the dental school does that. Now, I said it's all about the students. That's not completely true. There is another person that enters the equation now as you truly enter the profession of dentistry, and that person is called the patient. And I hate to tell you this, but you're no longer number one. The patient is number one in the profession of dentistry. You could be 1A or 1B, but the patient is number one. And if it weren't for patients, we wouldn't have a profession, right? And the profession has come a long, long way. Now, you might think I was around 100 years ago. I was not. But there was a time when dentistry was not a profession. Anyone who had a set of instruments and the desire could go out and call himself, usually himself in those days, a dentist. Training was through an apprenticeship, and scientific knowledge was based primarily on trial and error. At that time, dentistry really could not call itself a profession. But fortunately, there were dentists and others who believed that dentistry should be based upon an organized scientific foundation, and that this newly emerging profession required a much more comprehensive university-based system of education that included not just the acquisition of scientific knowledge, but the commitment to provide ethical and professional care for patients. And so the first dental school in the world, the Baltimore College of Dental Surgery, was incorporated by the legislature of the state of Maryland on March 6, 1840. Fast forward to October 2013, when the University of New England community gathered to formally dedicate the first dental school in northern New England and its new oral health center, which I hope that many of you visit tomorrow. And imagining and building this unique dental school, it's a very significant achievement, as I'm sure you appreciate. And like all significant achievements, the college was created through the efforts of a whole lot of people, some who are with us tonight, some who are not. These included visionary members of the university community, including the board, our president, other members of the administration, all the people who work in the university every day to manage our resources and to serve our students. It includes individuals and groups that provided and continue to provide important financial support, including Northeast Delta Dental, some of whom are here today. The people of the state of Maine passed a bond, a $5 million bond to support the creation of this dental school, to provide dental care around the state. Dozens of foundations, groups, and individuals who up until today have raised over $9.5 million to help create our new college. We're grateful to the architects, the engineers, the equipment planners, and all the craftsmen who worked together, communicated constantly, and ensured that in the end, everything would come together in a seamless, high-functioning environment called our Oral Health Center. And when you think about it, we're big on interprofessional healthcare practice, but the building of a complex facility like the Oral Health Center is truly interprofessional practice in action. We're grateful to the founding faculty and staff who came here in late 2010 and early 2011 to develop plans for the curriculum and the facilities, and who spent countless hours. I mean, we could have had a meeting of the faculty in a closet back then. We didn't need all of these chairs on a stage. But they worked extremely hard so that we could become accredited during our first site visit in 2013. And Dr. Ryder has already said this, but I want to add my thanks to the current faculty and staff. Under the leadership of Dr. Ryder, they teach, they provide patient care, they manage the curriculum and clinic operations, they establish our community-based network, and more importantly to me, they've established a culture of working together, learning from each other, and providing a high-touch, high-quality experience for our students. And we're grateful for all of their efforts. Now I'm going to do something that will probably get me in trouble, but it's what I do. I just take a point of personal privilege. During this ceremony 2 years ago in 2013, there was a young lady who was at that time 3 years old, who was living in Cambodia and who watched this ceremony on her iPad. And I knew right away that she was a very smart young lady, very discerning, because I was told later that her favorite part of the whole ceremony was my speech. And after a long journey, I'm proud to say and happy to say that Olivia Ryder and her mother Thierry are here with us physically tonight. Welcome to the UNE family. And I love Olivia even more. When I asked her to guess how old I am, she said she thinks I'm around 34 years of age. John, that is really one smart child you've raised. I also want to recognize another individual, and this will get me in trouble, but it'll be okay. This person's been with me for over 18 years. And more importantly, through the planning and development of 2 new dental schools, one in California and now one in Maine. And this person not only helped to design and equip the facilities in both colleges, including this Oral Health Center, but was also drafted, coerced at times into playing a major role in the design and implementation of our initial curriculum. She also added significantly to the content of these remarks, although she would certainly not have approved this section. And of course, I'm referring to my best friend, Joan Sandell. But now back to the students, right? They're out there thinking, well, what about us? We're here, you know? Dentistry clearly, as John mentioned, has the characteristics of any profession. And those are education beyond the usual level, the right to self-government, and the primary duty of service to the public. And as students, you have chosen one of the most, if not the most, rigorous educational programs. I think you already know that, right? The practice of dentistry requires we learn and understand the science of the human body, as well as mastering the technical and surgical skills in all aspects of general clinical dentistry. So this means you're already being asked to coordinate the information from your gross anatomy lab or your microbiology lectures with the dental principles and procedures you're performing on your patients in the simulation clinic. And as you are already learning, this can be kind of stressful, right? Would you agree with that? You know, you're smiling, but I know you're stressed underneath. But there's a reason for that. It has to be that way. You know, the old saying, if it was easy, anybody could do it. Well, this applies here. In less than 4 short years, which will come really quickly, we help you transform from rookies to the status of qualified, beginning, competent healthcare providers. Not an easy task for you or for your faculty. Believe it or not, and this shows my age, there was a time when a dental dean would meet with the new entering class and say, look to your right and look to your left. One of those individuals will no longer be here at graduation. And as students, we didn't really find that to be too inspiring, you know. It set up a culture of negativity, I think, and we're overcoming that, but it's a lot different now. I think now, if you look to your right and look to your left in the rows in which you're seated, we want you to recognize that as hard as it may be on any given day or in any given hour, you are in this together. You are in this as a group. You will work successfully with one another, help each other, and develop that collegiality and camaraderie that will not only become an integral part of your professional practice here, but will serve you well far into the future. Enjoy your differences, embrace your strengths, and our goal for you is really simple. We want each and every one of you to walk across that stage at the same time in May of 2019. That's our goal, and our faculty and staff will work extremely hard to ensure that we meet that goal. Now, the characteristics of our profession are embodied in these white coats, as you have heard, and they affirm that your purpose in serving the public is pure and that society can really trust you to always do what's best for the patient. And to me, the way I think of it is as simple as saying, what level of care would you like your loved ones to receive from another healthcare provider, right? And all of us want people we care for to be cared for in turn by competent healthcare providers. And I promise you, in a short period of time, you will be those competent healthcare providers. Take advantage of every opportunity to learn. The more you learn, the more skills you master, the more experiences you have, the better prepared you're going to be to meet the needs of your patients. And I hate to tell you this, but 4 years of dental school are just the beginning. Talk to anybody out in practice. You have to dedicate yourself to continuing that process of learning and developing new skills from now until forever. And after forever gets here, you can stop. Don't be afraid to make honest mistakes. It's really okay. In fact, that's part of learning. We learn sometimes a lot more by the mistakes we make. One piece of advice, it's better if you don't keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. You know, shake it up a little bit, make different mistakes. Keep in mind the story of a group of young students. I could say they were young dental students, but I don't think they were. They went on an outing to visit a famous elderly artist. And as the students arrived, the artist was just completing a beautiful painting and was hanging it up to dry. One of the students asked, "How long did it take you to complete that painting?" "It took me about 2 hours to apply the paint to the canvas," replied the artist, "and about 40 years to learn how." So you keep learning, you keep growing, you keep gaining more experience, and one day you can be artists too. People talk about the future of healthcare, and this is another piece of bad news. None of us really know what the practice of dentistry is going to be like 10 or 20 or 30 years from now. We sometimes act as if we do, but we don't. If you talk to any practicing dentist today, they're doing things that they never learned in dental school because those things, those techniques, those materials did not exist when they were in dental school. They've had to keep learning and growing, just like you will. But don't worry about that. Our goal here is not to prepare you for a particular future. It's to prepare you for whatever the future holds. So let's fast forward. And this is going to come really quickly, believe it or not. Let's pretend it's now May of 2019, just around the corner. Trust me. We're gathered as a university to celebrate commencement. And each one of you will walk across a different stage in a different place to shake the president's hand and receive your Doctor of Dental Medicine degrees. How will we recognize you? What will you be like? Well, I'm going to tell you that. You'll be smiling. And it won't just be because you've made it through and you've graduated. It will be more because you've spent 4 years being treated as professional colleagues in an exciting, innovative, humanistic learning environment. And I think you're already seeing that here. By then, you will have learned the habits of being lifelong learners and creative, critical thinkers. You'll know how to access and evaluate information, including the latest scientific information, and how to use that information to provide care to your patients. You will have learned human medicine, and you'll fully understand and appreciate the strong connections between oral health and overall health. You will have learned the most up-to-date techniques and materials. You'll learn how to use technology in an appropriate way. You will have developed communication and leadership skills, and you're going to be exposed to the business side of dental practice. You'll appreciate, as Dr. Ryder said, the role that each profession can play in the overall care of your patients, and you will be comfortable in the new interprofessional healthcare practice of the future. You'll also be knowledgeable about the many issues related to access to care, health policy, public and community health, and you'll be leaders in the communities where you live. People will come to you and ask for your opinion and ask for your advice. You'll be leaders of your own oral health care teams as you fulfill your professional obligation to improve the health of all members of society, not just those who can afford all of the services we provide. You know you'll have had the opportunity to practice in community clinics, in private practices, maybe in hospitals. Some of you may have the opportunity to travel globally and learn about healthcare systems in other parts of the world, even to provide care to people in other parts of the world. And you're going to partner with us, as Dr. Ryder said. You're going to help us continue to improve and refine this very unique College of Dental Medicine. And you will leave us, and you will leave the College of Dental Medicine better than you found it. And that's another hallmark of a true professional person. But most important, I think, to me and to our faculty, you will be ethical, caring people who happen to be doctors of dental medicine. So tonight, as each of you is assisted in donning your white coat, we welcome you to the dental profession and the significance of the white coat, a reminder of your responsibility to every patient you see. Those patients will trust that you will listen to them and that you have the knowledge and skill to diagnose and treat their individual oral health care needs. If you think about it, there is no greater honor than to have another human being entrust themselves to your care. You are, and you will continue to be worthy of that honor. We are proud to have you as members of our profession. Thank you very much.
At this point, I'd like to introduce Associate Dean Dr. Tim Martinez and Dr. Namita Kandawal, who will be introducing each student as they proceed to receive their white coats.
Our class of 2017 and 2018 representatives will lead the class of 2019 to the stage. I will be introducing each student, and they will proceed to the center of the stage to receive their white coat from Dean Martinez. Dean Ryder will then shake each student's hand. Guests are welcome to come forward for picture taking. The students will return to their seats and be seated after photographs are taken. I ask the audience to hold its applause until all students have returned to their seats. Will the first row of student doctors please rise and approach the stage? Amer of the Geech from Middlebury, Vermont. Mason Barker from North Yarmouth, Maine. Alyssa Beach from Elliott, Maine. Brittany Bell from Poland, Maine. Hussein Abdelaziz Berry from Dearborn, Michigan. Aparna Bud from Arroyo Grande, California. Alex Boucher from Fort Kent, Maine. Zachary Bowen from Litchfield, New Hampshire. Nader Burpee from Glendale, California. Tanjeet Chima from Calgary, Alberta. Hannah Uni Cheong from Pacific Palisades, California. James Comier from Clinton, Maine. Lindsay Cunningham from Santa Maria, California. Nicholas Savak from Forest Hill, Maryland. Matthew Davis from Havelock, North Carolina. Eric Deshane from Oakland, California. Lauren Donnelly from East Smithfield, Pennsylvania. Kyle Douglas from Longmeadow, Massachusetts. Paul Dubuque from Moultonborough, New Hampshire. Richard Duong from South Riding, Virginia. Hamed El Jabali from Tampa, Florida. Ariana Elmquist from Osceola, Wisconsin. Basim El-Tuki from Freehold, New Jersey. Sarah Jorgensen from Columbus, Wisconsin. Stephanie Gibbons from Salem, New Hampshire. Thomas Garrett from Wells, Maine. Aaron Guimont from Herman, Maine. Caitlin Hall from Dayton, Maine. Keith Howe from Vancouver, British Columbia. Alexandra Henson from St. Clair, Michigan. Whitney Jones from Skowhegan, Maine. Alexander Katanow from Denver, Colorado. Siranjit Kaur from Parsippany, New Jersey. Ronnie Lee from Korea and Philippines. Eugene Lim from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Christopher Magalhaes from East Freetown, Massachusetts. Mohammed Mahdi from Houston, Texas. Jacqueline McWilliams from Ole, Pennsylvania. Amber Lise Myers from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Caroline Moore from Roswell, Georgia. Ayla Nelson from Worcester, Massachusetts. Catherine Olszewski from Pembroke, Ontario. Margaret Palmer from Scarborough, Maine. Spencer Ross from Dixfield, Maine. Christopher Parent from Herman, Maine. Timothy Park from Friedan, New Jersey. Nicole Ruknayev from Dedham, Massachusetts. Rebecca Reed from Golden, Colorado. Drew Rodney from Portland, Maine. Natasha Serene from Centerville, Virginia. Olivia Shasteen from Tullahoma, Tennessee. Jacqueline Sheehan from Salem, New Hampshire. Tarandeep Sidura from Brampton, Ontario. Karen Eleanor Elaine Threed from Tullahoma, Tennessee. Abigail Smith from Towanda, Pennsylvania. Adam Stempler from Whitestone, New York. Teresa Tenhoff from Watsonville, Georgia. Joseph Tioli from Wilmington, Delaware. Jamie Trott from Topsom, Maine. Mercedes Valles from Toronto, Ontario. Jacob Valley from Brewer, Maine. Jacqueline Vera from Fitchburg, Massachusetts. Rebecca Veroslav from Levant, Maine. Kaylee Williams from Homer, New York. I'd like to introduce Dr. Farrier to the podium for the dentist pledge.
All right, so please locate your dental pledge in your program. Off to a good start, right? Students, please stand and repeat after me. '17s and 18s too, come on. All right. I state your name. As a member of the dental profession, shall keep this pledge and these stipulations. I understand and accept that my primary responsibility is to my patients. And I shall dedicate myself to render to the best of my ability the highest standard of oral health care. And to maintain a relationship of respect and confidence. Therefore, let all come to me, safe in the knowledge that their total health and well-being are my first consideration. I shall accept the responsibility that as a professional, my competence rests on continuing the attainment of knowledge and skill in the arts of science of dentistry. I acknowledge my obligation to support and sustain the honor and integrity of the profession, and to conduct myself in all endeavors such that I shall merit the respect of patients, colleagues, and my community. I further commit myself to the betterment of my community, for the benefit of all society. I shall faithfully observe the principles of ethics and the code of professional conduct set forth by the profession. All this I pledge with pride in my commitment
Thank you. Thank you once again to our guest speaker, Dr. Jim Coble, and for all that you've done to help make the College of Dental Medicine a successful reality. And to all of you here tonight that made this event possible, I'd also like to thank the band, the Portland Brass, videographer, David Dadiago, back here with the camera. Photographer Jeff Scher, excuse me, and a very appreciative and special thank you to Isaac, Megan, and Travis, our staff who put all this together. They did a wonderful job. Thank you very much. So the white coat ceremony is now concluded. I ask that you please remain seated until the faculty and students have exited the auditorium. Please join us for food and drinks in the reception area in the front of the building. Good night. Thank you.